Hello everyone, it's Librarian Jess, and I'm here to tell you, in case you didn't already know, that Ancestry Library Edition has been expanded for users working remotely, so you can log on to Ancestry Library Edition using your library card. In order to get to the login, you can go to the Troy Public Library website, scroll down to Research, and then from there, there's a link to Ancestry Library Edition, and that will take you to the Upper Hudson Library System login. You can also access this login at uhls.org/ancestry.htm. However you do it, you'll just need to log on with your library barcode, and you can do this with any library card from the Upper Hudson Library System. So here I am on Ancestry Library Edition, right from my home computer. So if you haven't used Ancestry a lot or you haven't had a lot of luck with it, I'm going to walk you through some of the basic tips and tricks for searching Ancestry. You'll see up here we have a search tab, and you can do an all categories search if you want to. You'll end up casting a very wide net. That's not always a bad thing, but I've had people get some false leads from doing too broad a search. So I would recommend to start out that you do a search for either the census and voter lists or the birth, marriage, and death records. I'm going to do a quick search through the birth, marriage, and death record database. We're going to look for my fiance's grandfather. Not mine, because my family provides some very interesting challenges, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it does not make a good introductory video. So we're going to search for Pietro Coolidge. And we think he was born in 1922. We're not 100% sure of that year, so over here there's an exact button, and you can say exact to this year, or you can do plus and minus a few years. So I'm going to say plus or minus 2 years. That will spit out every Pietro Coolidge born between 1920 and 1924. You'll notice I didn't click the exact buttons for the first and last name. The reason for that is just that there's a lot of potential for typos, misprints, or even alternate spellings for names, especially in older records. And with a name like Coolidge, it's hard to be 100% sure that the name was always spelled the same way and that every person who wrote it down in a record got it right. We're also going to put in Pietro Coolidge's father's name, which was also Pietro Coolidge. Okay, so we have a Findagrave index record. This Findagrave index can be very, very cool if you're looking for deceased relatives and you want to find out where they're buried. It also has birth date, birthplace, death date. We did know where Pietro Coolidge was buried, but we also found this birthplace says New York City, which is interesting. We didn't know that he was born in New York City because he lived most of his life in Rotterdam, near Schenectady, which is where he died. You'll see here and also up here in this death record. And here there's a New York birth index that also has Pietro Coolidge, born September 9th, 1922, so we were right about the year. So now maybe we're wondering, well, when did Pietro Coolidge come to Rotterdam? And if we want to find out more about that, we can look through the census records. We can put in his name again, and we now know that 1922 is the correct year, so I'll do exact to this year. And then where it says lived in, I'm going to put in Rotterdam. And then there's another exact to button. So I often, if we're pretty sure about a place, I still put county and adjacent counties just to give myself a little bit of extra wiggle room within the search. Sometimes people are right on county lines and the anecdotal information isn't completely correct. Sometimes they move to the larger area before coming to the place where they lived for most of their life. So this gives me a little bit more wiggle room. We'll put in the father's name again. And just keep in mind that sometimes when you put in more information, it'll give you more accurate information. But other times when you do that, it might filter out some results that would be correct, but don't have all of that information in them. So you can always go back and take out some of the extra stuff like relatives, locations, and see what comes out then. You might find something that didn't come up in the search before. So here we have two census records, federal and state, which show Peter Coolidge living in Schenectady, New York in 1925 and 1930. So it seems the family moved to the Schenectady area shortly after Peter Jr. was born. A couple of interesting things here. First of all, you'll notice that for the state census, it's spelled Kukulek and not Kukulich. But if we click on this, and we look at the household members, it's Peter, Josephine, Peter. The ages are all correct. This is definitely the same family that we were looking for, and their name is just being spelled differently. Also, if we click on the 1930 federal census, we can view this. We can view a lot of the primary records available on Ancestry. And you'll notice it highlights our search query for us, so that's very useful. So here we have Peter Coolidge, wife Josephine, Peter and Lillian, the children, and then there's this Joseph Manus person who is the brother-in-law to the head of household, so that would be Josephine's brother. We didn't know about him, so now we have another ancestor that we can look into and another branch on the family tree that we could investigate. I also want to point out that over here, Peter Sr.'s birthplace is listed as Yugoslavia, but then down here, the children's father's birthplace is listed as Czechoslovakia. So one of those has to be a misprint. I suspect it's this first one, but we'd have to do a little more research and find out where exactly Peter Coolidge immigrated from. Now I'll show you, we can search immigration and travel records for Peter Coolidge Sr., born around 1896, but we'll give it a couple of years. The only thing that comes up on this search is a Pietro Coolidge, and it says he was born in Italy, so it's unlikely that this is the same person, but the timing of arrival seems about right, and this is not a particularly common name, so it might be worth a little bit more investigation to see whether or not this is the same Peter Coolidge. But that's more advanced stuff, so I'm going to leave it here for now and let you get to your own ancestry genealogical research. If you have any questions, if there's anything I didn't cover or didn't make clear, please leave a comment or email the info desk and we can answer your questions. I can always make another video if there's more that you want to know about, so feel free to reach out. Until then, happy researching and have fun using Ancestry Library Edition right from the comfort of your home.